two slates contesting the elections: the Star team, led by UNC political leader Kamala Persad-Bissessar, and the United Patriots, being led by Rushton Paray. Mr. Paray is here with us this morning. Mr. Paray, always good to speak with you. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, Mr. Paray, last time that we spoke, we were speaking about your calls at that time for the announcement of the internal elections within the UNC. Of course, it has been set for June 15th. What has the process been for you and your team thus far?
Well, we're very happy to have had the existing NATEX of the party call the election date, which was very, very critical in terms of having all the preparations done. Now, the preparations have to be done from both sides. Obviously, the party would have had to get itself in a gear, in a mode to conduct the elections with the establishment of the Elections Commission and so on. From our interaction so far, the party seems to have that under control. We've had regular correspondences between the commission and our team. And I think things like polling stations and so on are being sorted out right now. From our side, from the minute that the elections were called, well, obviously there was the nomination process. We had some very sleepless nights trying to muddle through all of the persons who volunteered. I had made a call to the wider membership that anybody who feel that they can contribute not only to the party's development, but national development, please come on board. And we were, my mailbox, our office mailing system was bombarded with many, many UNC members who wants to contribute to development. So we went through that as a process.
Yes.
I ended up having several meetings, and we ended up with a team that I believe will take the party and the country forward on June 15th after the elections.
Yeah. Well, I know that you and your party, or your slate, I should say, not your party, your slate, that you all have been having meetings throughout the country. What has the response been thus far?
Absolutely overwhelming. I can tell you there has been a massive shift in the thinking of our membership. Now, at the end of the day, it is nobody's intention. I am sure not my intention, neither Mrs. Persad-Bissessar's intentions of any of the teams, to create undue and unnecessary confusion within the party. Now, what we've done is that we have gone out to the membership of the party. This is a membership election. We have articulated what we want to do in terms of rebuilding, rebranding, repositioning the party to be prepared for government. And remember, a national executive, that election, a national executive is the mother of a future government.
Yes.
And when you are the mother of a future government, there are firm decisions that have to be made in terms of how do we prepare ourselves to be the future government. And I think that is what we've been articulating to the membership. We have a busy week this week. We're in Felicity tonight, in Barrackport tomorrow night, in Makule, in Claxton Bay on Thursday night. So the support has been overwhelming. The feedback has been great, and we remain encouraged going forward.
Well, Mr. Paray, I don't know if you would have had a chance to see one of the, well, it was broadcast on TV6 and social media and so on, last night's meeting of the United National Congress, or the Star team, being led by Kamala Persad-Bissessar, the opposition leader. And she did have a few things to say about your team last night. And one thing she said was that she is questioning the intentions of your slate. And she says that you all are, the intention is to destabilize and destroy the party. She also said, and all of this she would have said at that meeting last night, that one of the main intentions of your slate also is to get rid of her.
Well, number one, I don't know where the misinformation is. Mrs. Persad-Bissessar and her position is not up for the elections. That's the first thing. Two, I don't understand where wanting a better and stronger UNC for a stronger Trinidad and Tobago is destabilizing anything. Now, I will tell you this. My business and the team that I lead is not in the business of fear-mongering. We're not in the business of creating fear. We're in the business of creating hope for a better Trinidad and Tobago. And quite frankly, I get excerpts of these meetings. Is it required to respond to a lot of it? No. Because our time when we speak to the membership of our meetings, it's intense in terms of how are we going to better the party, how are we going to create a new hope for the party, and how we are going to better the lives, not only for the membership of the party, but the greater audience in Trinidad and Tobago. So I will not agree with Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar on those particular terms. Responses for those things will remain on the political platform, and it's the normal cut and thrust of the politics at the end of the day. But we remain resolute. I have a great team that is designed, and as I said, to be the mother of the next government of Trinidad and Tobago. And that is what I'm focusing on.
Yeah. Well, she also believes that if your slate is successful, that it is not capable of leading the United National Congress into the next general election and having a victory.
Well, Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar has done her best, and I will never discount that she has done her best on 2 occasions. And the team that she has presented has failed twice. So that may be something that she's concerned with. But what I can tell you, I have no intention of failing. As a matter of fact, only yesterday, I sat with our chairman, who will be contesting for the seat, Attorney at Law Larry Lala, and we sat and we discussed a probable agenda that he, as chairman, when he wins, has to sit with Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar. And remember this, and I want to make this clear, Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar is the undisputed leader of the party. Nobody is challenging that, but we have to work with her. And I told Mr. Lala, let us sit down and let's discuss an agenda that he will have to take to the political leader and tell her, look, this is the agenda that this slate wants to take the country forward, and it's going to be the agenda for our first national executive meeting. At no time in our discourse from day one do I, have a query or concern about the relationship of my team when we win with Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar, because our job is not a fight about leadership. Our job really is to deal with the bottom line. And what's the bottom line in business? Marlon, I'm a businessman. I have several businesses. In the private sector, our bottom line is profitability. How do you make money? In the politics, in this, it's about the social contract. How do we work together as a team to allow for the widest possible benefit to not only the members of the party, but to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago? How do we develop policy that will touch the most vulnerable people? And that is what we want. So it's not about a conflict of leadership of Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar, myself, or anybody else. This is how there's a democratically positioned constitutional election that is due on the 15th. When the dust settles, whoever wins, we have to work together, because the PNM we want to deal with,
Yeah.
And on that day, that is the day we work with whoever holds the position of leader. And let me tell you, in politics, leaders will come and leaders will go. And I'm sure one day Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar will not be there, and there will be another leader. And the function of the team is to work together to be in government. That's the purpose of the politics in this country. We need to be in government to reshape Trinidad and Tobago.
Up to last night also, she has linked your name with the People's National Movement. That's one. And over the past week or so, after Michaela Pandey officially launched her party, your name is being bandied about all over the place, and she's constantly being asked, that is Miss Pandey, about Rushton Parry, and she has said, well, I have had no discussions with Mr. Parry. Is there a relationship there between you and Michaela Pandey's political party?
My parents have known her parents for many, many years. I meet Michaela at several functions. We talk on a lot of things. We talk about the country, we talk about politics, we talk about food, we talk about their dog at home. But her as a political leader of her party. I respect her. I respect the agenda that she's on. We have not had any conversations concerning any partnering or any type of cohesiveness. But I made a statement the other day that should the United Patriots take the leadership of the national executive, the slate, the team will be open to conversations with anybody, any organization that is willing to contribute to national development. It could be anybody. It could be from anywhere. Because we believe that to strengthen the UNC, you have to have the best people. And in politics, it's about adding. It's not about dividing and subtracting. So when you have people go on political platforms and want to create division, they have no right being in politics. You have to be able to build bridges, not burn bridges. And every single person who are involved in these elections must be willing to build bridges, a hand to reach out, because we want everybody on June the 16th or the 17th to start preparing for the war that is coming with the PNM. And that's my position on that. I'm open to discussions with anybody.
Are you confident that the elections within the UNC are going to be free and fair? Because there have been claims in the past that the elections have not been free and fair in the past. Do you believe that this time around the system may have been reviewed a bit and there is a strong and rigid and fair system in place for the elections?
Whether that is the situation today, that may be different from the other time around, I want to tell the membership, the electorate in the UNC, do not let that deter you from casting your vote, because that is a right that you have as a member. And for the people who are going to be administrating this election, because the party does the administration, on that day, I want you to do your constitutional duty in the party. Ensure that the elections are free and fair. And the membership must know that when they come out, that the result at the end of the day will be the will of the membership. And that is all I can ask for. We will do what we can as a team to ensure that the elections are conducted the best way that we can afford it to happen on our side. But it is really for the machinery and for the membership to believe that their vote counts. And don't stay home saying that the election is rigged and somebody go win it. Come out in your numbers, come out and let your will be heard, and your voice will dictate what happens to the party and how we go in the future in Trinidad and Tobago.
One last issue, Mr. Paray, because the political leader of the UNC did mention this last evening at the meeting, where she claimed that there were certain MPs within the UNC who supported the election of the President of the Republic for favors. And she even mentioned that certain people were given jobs and promotions and so on.
Well, I have no indication of that. Mrs. Prasad Bisesa has her link. She's been in the politics 30, 40 years. I'm sure she has access to information that none of us had. But those things, as far as I'm concerned, is irrelevant to the matter at hand today, right? You know, whatever information she has, I mean, let it ride on the consciousness of those people. My conscience is fair and clear, and I am resolute in terms of the direction that I want to take my constituency, my party, and my country, and we will do what we have to do with the best interest of everyone at hand.
Yeah, Mr. Paray, it's always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. All right, so it's time